loves her mama, loves Jesus and America too. She's a good girl, crazy about Elvis, loves horses and a boyfriend too. And it's a long day living in Reseda. There's a freeway running through the yard, and I'm a bad boy, 'cause I don't even miss her. I'm a bad boy for breaking her heart, and I'm free, free falling. Yeah, I'm free, free falling. Hey, how you doing? Justin here. Today we are checking out Free Fallin' by the late great Tom Petty. Man, this is a classic tune. I should have done this one really years ago. It's lovely to play. You can kind of simplify the chords a little bit. I'm going to explain the way I think it's played on the record, which is what I was just doing, but Tom plays his part slightly differently, which is also on the record. There's a lot of guitar layering going on in this song, but I think it's nice to learn this kind of the open chord version using a capo at the 3rd fret. I think that works real nice. So let me talk about the chords a little bit first of all, and then we'll go through the rhythm and the different approaches we got. So we're going to start here with a regular garden variety D chord there. And the next chord is a kind of a G sus2, I suppose, or a G add 9. You can think of it a few different ways. But basically you can see 1st and 3rd fingers stay down. Little finger comes off and goes down on the 3rd fret of the thicker string. Little finger goes down on the 3rd fret of the thinner string. Okay, so we've got, it's important to realize that the 2nd finger underneath is muting the 5th string. So we've got 3rd fret, muted note, open D string, then 2nd fret, 3rd fret, 3rd fret. Okay, so D, regular D, then this G, that's played again, back to the D, and now we go to an A sus4. Now, normally you kind of think of playing an A sus4 with the fingers that way around, but it makes sense, I think, to leave 1st finger down and put 2nd finger. It's just like you're playing A chord in, if you've been using my beginner's course, you will have learned A chord like that. So it's like that, but with the 3rd finger slid forward a fret for an A sus2. And it means that those, the 1st and the 3rd fingers are rooted there the whole time. D to G sus, back to D to A sus. So it can feel a little awkward getting that 2nd finger rather to shift. If it's really bad for you, you could do A sus4 like that. So from the D chord, move 1st finger over to the 2nd fret on the 4th string. Little finger, 2nd finger will go underneath it on the 3rd string. That kind of feels more comfortable to me. But the idea of holding those two and practicing jumping that 2nd finger, you know, it didn't take me much practice to get that feeling quite comfortable. So and it feels nice having those two ringing out there all the time. So that would be what I'd recommend use for the fingering. But if you want D, there, you can move the 1st and 2nd fingers over to play A sus4 that way if you prefer. Before you start working on the rhythm, I'd recommend you spend a bit of time working on getting those chord changes nice and smooth. You know, for this kind of tune, especially where the chords are ringing out for a long time, you need to be fairly swift with your chord changes there. So there's a little bit of time spent on that first. Now, the very intro, it kind of outlines the rhythm and where the chords change quite nicely. And then really, to add to the song, we're just increasing the number of strums, but the chords are changing in the same place. So if I just start with the very intro, the D is on beat 1, and the G, it's G sus4 or G add 9 or whatever, I'm just going to call it G, right? So 1, 2, and 3, 4. Okay, that's the first bar. It's important. It's the 2-bar cycle. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Both going to be down strums. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, and 2, and 3. Okay, so then we've got the G again on beat 1. The and is going to be on the D. And then the next and is going to be on the A sus4. Okay, so let me just count through those 2 bars a few times, nice and slow. So 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1, 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. All downs. Okay, that's your starting point. Make sure you can get that right and you can count along. Now once you feel confident, see if you can get the hand moving. Now it's moving consistently. Even though I'm still strumming the same, it's still moving 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, because that's really the trick for this kind of rhythm, is enabling the hand to keep moving. Once we start adding in other strums, no different. The actual movement, if you were just watching, would look more or less the same between this, just strumming where the chords change, and if I add some more, get the idea. So that consistency of hand movement is a really big deal, and it's definitely the kind of the next step along. So real simple chords, making sure that you know where the chords change, like on what beat they change, where they are 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You know, being able to talk a little count like that and accent where you're doing the chord changes can be quite a helpful thing too. So after you've got the basic accent, I've got an actual kind of a distillation of what is played on the record. So it's, at any one point it might not exactly be it, but taking an average of all of the different strumming patterns that you kind of hear through the multiple layers, this is what I think is kind of the dominant rhythm that if you were playing it by yourself would be a nice kind of a nice way of playing it. And it's this. So okay, now I'm going to put that little tab for that rhythm up on the website, so you might want to go and check that out. I'm going to give it to you nice and slow now as a count as well. So 3E and a 4E and a 1E and a 2 and 3, 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3, E and 4 and a 1E and a 2 and 3, 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3, E and 4 and a. Okay, big deal here, keeping the hand moving and making sure that you know what the rhythm is, what the count is. You know, I always say that it's better to be able to learn a rhythm by listening to it loads and loads of times, but it also can be really helpful to be able to count it and practice and play it along real slow. You know, especially these kind of 16th note rhythms. If you write down 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a, and in this case, you can have a down strum on beat 1, an upstroke on the after 1, nothing on beat 2, a down strum on the and after 2. You'll have nothing on beat 3 at all, then a down strum on beat 4, and another down on the and after 4, and an upstroke after that. So 1E and a, 2 and 3, 4 and a. Okay, let me just do that with a little muted thing, because this can be really helpful as well for you guys, just to mute all of the strings with that hand and be able to strum a rhythm. So this count again, 3, 4, 1E and a, 2 and 3, 4 and a. That's the first bar. Again, 3, 4, 1E and a, 2 and 3, 4 and a. If we add the second bar in, we've got 1 and 2 and 3, E and 4 and a. Again, that count, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, E and 4 and a. Down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, down. 1 and 2 and 3, E and 4 and put those two together. Again, this is a great way to practice for your rhythms too. You know, even playing along with the original recording without the chords. It's really good for your rhythm. It's good for your time to be able to do that. Make sure that your rhythm isn't letting you down. It's easy to tell then if your chord changes are letting you down or your rhythm skills are letting you down by playing along with the original recording. Just either keeping the chords real simple, the rhythm real simple and playing the chords along, or muting the chords and just practicing the rhythm. That'll help you pick up on the thing that we call the time feel as well, which, you know, Tom Petty and Heartbreaker stuff. The feel of the music is really great and definitely worth practicing along to try and absorb some of that, the humanness of the rhythm, because rhythms aren't always mathematically perfect to feel good, you know. Anyway, that rhythm again. So I'll do it around a few times. You might want to join in with me. 1, 2, 3, and a 4, and a 1, and a 2, and 3. 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3. 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and a 2 and 3. 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a 1 and a 2 and 3. 4 and a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, now it doesn't really matter if you play exactly that or not. This is just a suggested kind of summary of the rhythm, but in real life, when you're really playing it, you're probably going to add in some extra strums, and that's fine. Even if you miss out some, that's fine too. This is just a kind of a guide to the groove, so don't feel like it has to be, you know, really, really super strict, because it doesn't. Once you've got that rhythm pattern fairly solid, a nice way as well to lift it up is to use a kind of very, very simple strumming for the first verse, that sort of pattern where we've got a little bit more action going on but not too much for the second verse, and for the chorus, I think it works really nicely to do fairly continuous strumming. So there's almost certainly a guitar doing that in the chorus on the original that's really keeping things moving along, you know. So having that kind of depth of stuff gives you a really nice kind of arrangement, especially if you're playing it by yourself. You don't want the rhythm pattern to be the same all the way through the song, especially this one where the chords are pretty much the same right the way through the song. That would get mighty testing for any listener. So starting off with your, for the first verse, nice and simple. Then into that pattern that I just showed you. Into the chorus. Then when you go into the next verse, kind of drops back again, and it's the kind of thing that for a listener it's really important. You might not have thought about that sort of stuff before, but particularly when you go to listen to the really great acts play, they're aware of this dynamic. Maybe not they sat down and thought about it, but the band is, or they are, even when they play solo, you can hear this movement between the verses and the choruses, and it's something that I encourage students to pick up on all the time, because it really makes a big difference if you're playing, even for friends and family. They'll be like, oh yeah, it makes you want to sort of sing along with the chorus when it's more lifted like that. Now, the way that Tom plays it on watching some videos is actually not with a capo on the 3rd fret, but on the 1st fret. So if we move the capo down now to the 1st fret, the chords that you would play would be E, A sus2, so which is 0, 2, 2, 0, 0, and a B, like a B power chord would be that, and you keep those thinnest 2 strings ringing. This part is a layer on the original recording, but I don't think it comes out until later. The version that I've just showed you, I'm fairly confident is what you hear on the original recording, right? But there's a couple of reasons why this works nicely in other circumstances. But definitely when you see Tom Petty playing it live, he's be doing this. So. It sounds real nice. Rhythm pattern stays more or less the same. It just, you don't hear as much of the da 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 that you do in the other version I showed you, because that was really in a high register, and we kind of become a little bit more aware of it when it's placed up there. But if you're going to do the Tom version, that's where you want to be playing those. So just an E, A, and a B power chord with the thinnest 2 strings open, which I guess makes it kind of an E sus4, a B sus4, and keeping it with the same rhythm. Now, there's one other part which we haven't really talked about yet, and again, this one part works better without a capo at all. You quite often see someone in his band playing it without a capo at all. There's usually at least 3 or 4 layers of guitar going on, but the pattern is going to be. Lovely part. So this is really, it's kind of an F chord, I guess, but it's an E chord if we're thinking in terms of the capo being on. Then it's going to be a B flat chord, which with the capo on becomes an A chord, which is 5 frets above the capo. Back to our first chord, and then to what's in real life a C chord, but relative to the capo would be a B chord. Hope that doesn't confuse you. So just, if you got the capo on at the first fret, you're going to play like an E open E power chord. Then it'll be 6th fret to the capo at the first fret again, and then 8th fret. And the rhythm, same as what we were doing before. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Such a cool guitar part. Simple, but really, really effective. Okay, so that would be the other part. Like I said, usually you see people doing it without a capo at all, so just. I'm pretty sure that's what's going on the record as well, because sometimes I think I can hear that low E string as people are getting to the F chord, or whoever's playing that lead guitar part on that on the original recording. But if you were doing it with the capo at the 3rd fret on the original one that I was talking about, you wouldn't be able to reach the F chord there at the 1st fret, so you'd have to do the F chord here at the 8th fret. So 8th fret, 6th fret, that way. So 5th string root, 6th string root at the 6th fret, 8th fret, 8th fret on the thicker string. Doesn't have quite the same kind of menace as the other one going right down to that F, but it still works just as good. So I think that's it for this tune. It's an amazing tune. I'm a bit disappointed it's taken his death for me to get back into listening to Tom Petty. I used to listen to him a lot as a youngster, and I've got a bunch more Tom Petty and Heartbreakers and Travelling Wilburys coming up in the next few weeks for you. So look, I really hope you enjoy playing this tune. Great party sing along this one, and I'll see you for plenty more lessons very soon. Remember, there's more than 1,000 free lessons over on JustinGuitar.com, so I hope you'll go and check it out, and I'll put some additional notes in for this tune as well, including that strumming pattern. It's always easier if you can see it written down, I think. So I'll see you for plenty more very soon. You take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.